Hi, everyone, and welcome back. So, I'm super excited to announce our next speaker, and she's here to teach you about a skill that is very valuable at any stage in your career, and that is how to pitch yourself. Eline Leijten was Dutch national champion in pitching, but also founder of her own company, Plugify, and she's currently a consultant for tech companies. So, welcome, Eline. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So what we'll do with Eline is she's first going to tell you a little bit about how to pitch yourself, and then we're going to go through some questions. So if you have any questions for Eline, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and I'll keep an eye on that. And then I want to give the stage to you, Eline.
Thank you. Great. All right. I am fully live right now.
Yes.
There it is. Cool. Well, I'm super honored to address all of you today in this great event organized by Magnet.me on careers, specifically for women. Of course, a topic I'm greatly enthusiastic about. So I'm honored to be here. As Merle already said, I am Eline Leijten, 34 years old, a mother of two young daughters, Melanie and Alix. Next to that, an entrepreneur, founder of a tech company called Plugify. Currently working as a consultant, as Merle said, for tech companies, an amateur singer and a professional feminist, as I call myself. Politically active, was in the committee, part of the committee that co-wrote the election program for the Social Liberal Party in the Netherlands, D66, then moved over to Volt, another party I'm very happy to be a part of. So doing lots of things, and also in the context of my entrepreneurship of the startup I have founded called Plugify, I won multiple pitch competitions. So I'm really happy to be able to address you today and to tell you about the insights I have gained in attending those pitch competitions, joining, preparing for it, winning them. Specifically, that was the TEDx Startup Award. 1 second. TEDx Amsterdam Women Startup Award. Let's make it a bit fun while we're behind the screen. That was back in 2016. I founded the company in 2016 as well. I won the Next Women Pitch competition, which is a competition specifically focused on female founders, as well as the Dutch Pitch Championship, which was very cool. And of course, a highlight in my career. So I can also give you one advice: to always cherish the highlights in your career and keep them really close, which is a benefit of working from home. And I'm happy to tell you about, what I've learned along that path. Before I do so, I wish to briefly just dedicate the story to my beloved grandmother, Trace Martin Staks, who passed away yesterday morning at the age of 92 in her sleep. And I wish to dedicate this story to her because from a very young age, she has always taught me, among many other things, the value of education and being grateful for the opportunities we are given. And that to me is a drive to always live life to the fullest and to embrace all opportunities we are given in life. As my grandmother was 12 years old at the outbreak of World War II and was not able to continue education after enjoying primary school very much, which she did. So it's quite odd to actually tell this story in English, a language she wouldn't have been able to understand, and to be invited on this stage alongside such impressive women I greatly admire. What has changed over the course of 2 generations is quite huge. And her basic feet on the ground, grateful attitude towards life as a whole, and her always emphasizing to be grateful for the privilege bestowed on us for being here together and having enjoyed an education as we have, is something that will always remain with me, and that has also in these pitches been a big drive to me to always just go for it, basically. So, having done that, Oma, this one is for you. I wish to briefly go into the specifics of pitching. What is it now, actually? So a pitch, it can be either you're participating in a business course and everybody gets like 30 seconds or 1 minute to introduce yourself. Well, the saying is you always get one chance to make a first impression. That's true. So might as well do it in a good manner. and show yourself to the audience, because you're worth showing. And that is actually my first lesson. But before I hop into that lesson, just a couple of other situations that can also involve pitching. Actually, you're always pitching every day. You can pitch your company, if you have a company, in front of investors, in front of employees you wish to attract, you wish to hire talent. You can pitch in a business course, as I said, pitch in a job interview, but you can also pitch why you shouldn't have to do the dishes tonight, or why you should go to that specific holiday destination with your boyfriend, which you have in mind. So pitching is always useful. It's basically just convincing the audience of the story you have to tell. And the first lesson I have is, it's very, very, very cliche, heads up, but it's true in my experience, and it's critical. It comes down to believing in yourself. As girls from a very young age are taught to be modest, to be kind, to be giving and graceful. And those are all virtues I also wish to teach our children and our daughters. However, I wish to also teach them things that perhaps in history haven't been so prominent in the childhoods of young girls. And those are, I wish to teach them to stand up for themselves, to indeed be kind, do no harm, but also take no shit, to be proud of who they are and what they have to offer to the world. Because it's very okay as a young woman to say, yes, I did that, and I'm proud of that. Thank you for your compliment, without compromising in any other way. And this attitude really echoes on in your pitch, because it's critical to believe in yourself if you, through your pitch, wish to convince someone else to also believe in your story. And specifically to mention one example in my career, so that was prior to being an entrepreneur. I started out, I graduated from Rotterdam Erasmus University in both financial economics and law. And I started my career for 3 years as a strategy consultant with OC&C, currently known as EY Parthenon. So basically you need to be very analytical in that job. And I started out having no Excel skills whatsoever. So of course, I could type something in Excel, but that would kind of be it. But the lesson I learned there was I was way too modest in presenting myself on my first day in a project, because I told my manager, so I'm Eline, and I have no experience in Excel, FYI, just a heads up. And that immediately kind of downgraded myself and my skill set versus that manager. And honesty, of course, is a great virtue, and I still very much value it. And also I cherish my honesty. I think I inherently have in me. However, in business environments, it can be so rare that it's misinterpreted and it's seen as weakness. And people don't really see the other side you have to offer if you only present yourself in such a manner. So that is something I've learned. And by now I've grown to be much more bold than I used to be when I started out in my career. So watch this balance, I would say. The second thing in pitching is, sorry, having a cold. Make it personal. Especially in this pandemic, we see the value of human connections and how tricky it can be to actually only interact with one another through a screen. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always interesting to get to know the person behind that screen and behind that facade. So, of course, you need to present yourself in a professional manner, and you will mention examples. And if you have a job interview and you pitch yourself, you would mention examples that are professional and a good way to represent yourself. However, the other person also wishes to get to know you. So show yourself, I would say. And when it comes to pitching your company, I've always done that by bringing in my own personal experience in the reason I founded this company to start with. So the company is called Plugify. We filed for insolvency because it's a company that's active in the event sector, and we were at the end of the selling process. However, then COVID hit, and there was no perspective for revenue whatsoever left, and then we filed for insolvency. But just a little bit of context behind the company. It is a company that enables people like Booking.com does to book artists in this context online directly, without any interference of a booking agency. You could go to the website, look for a singer, for example, for a company party, a wedding, a funeral. I've just used the website myself again as well. And you can just directly contact the artist, see reviews of other people, watch videos, etc. Kind of the Airbnb setup, but then applied to a different context. And when I would pitch the company, I'd always tell people that I used to be a singer in the Hermes House Band. Some of you may know it still. If not, I'm getting really old. But the Hermes House Band is a semi-professional student band from Rotterdam. It's the oldest student band in the Netherlands. And I used to be a lead singer in it. So what I would do is I would always tell the audience that prior to founding Plugify, I'd get so many messages still from friends asking, "Hey, Eline, how have you been? I'm getting married. I'm looking for a violin player to perform during my ceremony. Do you have any advice, maybe? Or, oh, I need to impress my boss because I'm organizing the Christmas party. I'm looking for a DJ. Please help out." And I was always so struck that they would actually turn to me instead of some kind of a digital application where they would just find their way. And in my pitches, I would always mention this personal aspect, and it would always help. You also see it on websites, right? We like to read reviews of real people who've actually used the website. And that is what makes us believe the story you were told. So make it personal. 3 would be know your audience. So what is the actual language your audience understands and speaks themselves? So what words, which I normally use, may need some clarification in the context of this specific pitch. E.g., if you are a student and perhaps you've been active in a sorority or some other kind of student association, you may find yourself in a position where you're pitching for someone in a job interview, for example, or a business course, and you may want to refer to some examples of experiences you have gained during this time at your sorority. Well, then it's critical, in my experience, that you filter the lingo that is specific for that specific sorority, and that you don't actually use, because these sororities have lots of words that people who haven't been in that sorority don't understand. And then I would say always just be critical on yourself. Hey, I'm saying something about this specific group of friends, which we call a year club, literally translated in a sorority context. Does somebody else understand that? Does my grandmother understand that? If not, translate it and just name it a group of friends. That is more professional and is more inclusive, because the other person needs to understand what you're talking about and doesn't need to go the extra mile to understand you. You need to change perspectives and know your audience. And if you don't know your audience, get to know your audience. So if you're doing a pitch in front of someone, might as well just take a sneak peek on a LinkedIn page, have a look. Okay, what is the background of this person? What would be the right angle of my story? There's nothing wrong with preparation. Bringing me to my next lesson, prepare. When I would do pitches, I would always literally learn them by heart, like a lyric. You may think, okay, that sounds kind of robotic. It can be, but in my experience, it provides you with such a solid basis, and then you can improvise on the spot if the situation allows or invites you to. But if you have this solid basis and you know where your story is going, you know what's next, you know what kind of jokes you may want to make, you know at what point you may want to raise your arms to emphasize the point you're making. To me, it's always been super comfortable to just know where I'm going, and it doesn't have to kill creativity or being spontaneous at all. You just have a solid basis to fall back upon if, for example, you get nervous, which can always happen. Then 5th lesson to me would be creative. So I would always begin my company pitch by singing. I would say, imagine. Remember from the John Lennon Imagine song, if you don't recognize it. And I'd say, imagine you wish to book live music. But how can you find the artist of your dreams with the price tag of your dreams? And then blah, blah, blah. My pitch would follow. You can Google it. But it was creative, right? To start your pitch singing. Because if you're an investor or you're some kind of a jury of this pitch competition and you have 20 participants all lined up and all doing their pitches one by one, then you want to be surprised. So offer them a bit of a surprise. Another example is an entrepreneur I know who has, for example, founded a company called Volk, and they offer an airbag for the elderly to prevent hip fractures. So it's an airbag to put on your hip, literally. So if you fall, the airbag prevents your hip from breaking. And the founder would just start the pitch by falling on the ground. It's a surprise, and you immediately have all the attention. The sixth one to me would be if you're nervous or you're not sure if this context you're pitching in is the right path for you to pursue, or you just aren't really sure yet about which career you want to enter, then I would say, and this is very critical to me, especially given the high amount of stress among young people, just relax, please. We all have these thoughts when we lay in our beds, when it's 4 a.m. and we wake up maybe in the middle of the night and we think, oh, is this the right thing for me to do? Almost everyone in high positions in company has the imposter syndrome. You can Google it. It is the idea that you're not good enough to fulfill a certain position, that they will discover you as incapable of doing this one day or the next. And that fear that is inherent to life, I guess, is human. It's in all of us. So don't feel isolated if you're not sure you're pursuing the right path. Allow yourself a little bit of time to explore. We still have an entire life in front of us. We probably need to work until the age of 75 at least. So might as well enjoy the ride. And if you look at some examples, I mean, Ray Kroc, for example, he founded McDonald's in 1955 at the age of 52. Arianna Huffington founded the Huffington Post at the age of 55. You still have 30 years to build your billion company, if that is your ambition. So relax and enjoy the ride. And the last one when pitching, and I will really round up now as well, is keep it short and sweet. The audience is looking for a 1-minute pitch or a 30-second pitch, then prepare a pitch of such duration. That is easy if you prepare it. And it helps the audience to just stick to the key message. And it's always really important to, while preparing, filter out your key message up front and then keep it short. And I would not do a good job if I would keep on talking, so I'm stopping right now. Thank you.
Amazing, Eline. Thank you so much for sharing all these lessons on pitching. Sabine asked a question in the chat, and she's asking, hi, Eline, what was your most successful pitch moment?
Hi, Sabine. Lovely to meet you, firstly. Well, that must have been, I guess, winning this Dutch championship. That was back in 2017. It was super big honor to get this award, to still have it on my desk, as the best pitcher of the Netherlands. So something I'm proud of, and yeah, it was a great moment.
And Emily is asking, what would you say is the most important aspect of a pitch?
If you need to filter out one, I'd say it's the creativity.
The creativity.
Because you need to inspire. If you read the book of Yuval Noah Harari on Homo sapiens, on the origins of mankind, you see that our species is really unique versus all other animals in being able to move huge groups of people through storytelling. So storytelling is it's magic. You need to not only just combine a couple of words into sentences, but you need to bring your message out in a way that is inspiring And that is done through creativity, in my opinion. You need to grasp the attention and then keep it. I hope
Okay, thank you. Then we have time for one more question. Seren is asking, what would you recommend if someone is unsure to pitch themselves to a stranger? So maybe if they're lacking the confidence, or if they don't really know how to, when they're meeting a stranger, to initiate basically pitching themselves. How would you do that?
Thanks a lot for this super question. It's, I think, a very relevant one. I'd say what I always do is, what is the worst thing that can happen? I mean, my pitch failing. All right. And then what? Is the roof coming down? Do I have no food left tonight? Are there airplanes flying over my head, dropping bombs? Nope, there are none. I am living here in a privileged life on a place on earth where I get the opportunity to meet this other person and to tell my story. I am worth listening to. I have a story to tell. If the person is not the good recipient of that story, that might very well be the case. But in that case, it's a learning opportunity to get feedback, to know where my story might need to be edited, and to just meet someone else. It's an opportunity to meet someone, and always keep in mind that it is also in a job interview context. The balance shouldn't be like this: the employer here and the interviewee over here. It is the question: where do you want to invest your human capital? You have a lot to give to this planet. I mean, we are dependent on your generation, our generation. I think I'm 10 years older probably than you are. To come up with the big solutions for the big problems we're all facing. So you have a lot to give to this specific person or employer. So don't see it as an unequal relationship. It should be balanced, and you need to decide for yourself in which environment, which company you wish to invest your human capital, which is super valuable.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I can only agree with that. Everybody needs to recognize their own value that they can contribute. Thank you so much for giving your talk today. Just like the last time, I want to thank you, and to everyone that's watching. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then our next female leader, Marguerite Soeteman-Rijn, will be joining us. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you once again, Eline.
Thank you, Merle.